Welcome to our overview of Germany and its potential to be the expansion gateway for Brunt hotels. In the next few slides, we will provide you with a high-level overview of Germany's key characteristics, a more detailed overview of Munich as the identified potential entry city for Brunt hotels, the economic forces, labor markets, union dynamics, and legal system that will have an influence on Brunt hotels' operations in Germany. We will also cover the most significant cultural differences between the U.S., Brunt's home country, and Germany, the labor forces that will come into play, and the potential advantages and disadvantages in doing business in Germany. Our presentation is meant to give you a high-level overview, with a more detailed report being provided later. As a little bit of background, Germany, with its population of 82.1 million people, is comprised of mostly a homogeneous population, with 91.5% of it being Germans, 2.4% Turkish, and the remaining 6.1% from other nationalities. Germany has an impressive literacy rate of 99%. Munich is the selected city proposed to Brunt hotels as the ideal entry point into Western Europe. Munich is the third largest city in Germany, with the host of the 1972 Summer Olympics, and is frequently a top-ranked destination for migration and expat residents. Mercer HR Consulting Company consistently rates Munich among the 10 cities with the highest quality of life in the world. While Munich enjoys a thriving economy and vibrant community that is driven by the information technology, biotechnology, and publishing sectors, it is important to note that Munich is also one of the most expensive cities to live in and the most expensive city to live in Germany. Germany is currently a member of the European Union with a GDP of $3.085 trillion and a growth rate of 2.7%. With the unemployment rate currently at 6% and the inflation rate at 2.2%, Germany is the strongest economy in the EU. In 2010, Germany had over 26.8 million arrivals of non-resident tourists visit the country, which represents a growth in tourist travel of over 10% from the previous year. From a labor market perspective, works councils in Germany are very influential and have special decision rights not always employed by works councils in other parts of the world. Trade unions and employers work very closely together to discuss workers' rights. On-the-job apprenticeships present a strong competitive advantage of the German labor market with its expert-oriented culture. As quoted by Rolf von Lüde, economic sociologist from the University of Hamburg, one of the crucial aspects of the German dual system is that it is created by a cooperation of the employers and the trade unions. It is really a model that ensures that the qualifications that are needed within the industry are supported by the apprenticeship program. In particular, the youth unemployment rate is also extremely low, at a rate of approximately 7.6%, compared to roughly 50% unemployment for youths 25 years and under in countries like Spain. In stark contrast, Germany's youth unemployment and employment is the highest in Europe, with only a 7.8% jobless rate. At the heart of success is the on-the-job apprenticeship system, with roots in the Middle Ages, but is thriving today in Germany's modern economy. However, the one downside of this apprenticeship system is that today, Germany has a problem that Britain, Spain, and other European countries can only dream of. It doesn't have enough skilled workers to meet the demands of its economy. Almost one-third of German companies could not fill open jobs in 2011. Some 30,000 apprenticeship placements went unfulfilled. This deficit, according to von Lüde, is the result of a dramatic demographic shift. Birth rates are falling across Europe, but the effect is pronounced in what was once East Germany. There are half as many high school graduates in the East as there were only 5 years ago. Von Lüde believes the solution is for Germany to relax its immigration policies because Germany's population is shrinking. When considering the trade unions existing in Germany, most would first think of the Confederation of German Trade Unions, or DGB, which is an umbrella organization sometimes known as a National Trade Union Center for approximately 8 German trade unions. This organization represents more than 6 million people in Germany as of December 31, 2011. It was originally founded in Munich, October 12, 1949. The DGB coordinates joint demands and activities within the German trade union movement. It represents the unions in contract with the government authorities, the political parties, and the employers' organizations. However, the umbrella organization is not directly involved in collective bargaining and does not conclude collective labor agreements. Union delegates elect committees for 9 districts, 66 regions, and the federal center. The organization holds a federal congress every 4 years. This assembly sets the framework for trade union policies and elects 5 federal executives. Together with the presidents of the member unions, they constitute the DGB's executive committee. The members of the executive committee, together with the DGB regional presidents and 70 delegates from the unions, form a federal council which meets once a year to make decisions on national issues. The DGB also has a youth organization, DGB Jugend. The DGB has its headquarters in Berlin, is a member of the European Trade Union Confederation, ETUC, and the International Trade Union Confederation, ITUC. When examining the legal ramifications for expanding into Munich, Germany, it was important to understand that at the end of the day, the major focus and emphasis is on the protection of the German employees. Therefore, we decided to start our analysis in the initial areas of hiring, benefits, termination, international entry and exit criteria. As we researched the country, international entry and exit criteria became less an area of concern. Hiring, benefits, and termination remained focal points we felt necessary to dig deeper into each of these areas to understand the company's risk and potential liabilities of doing business in Germany. Therefore, when hiring in Germany, an employee usually stays with his or her employer until he or she reaches retirement age, unless the employment is terminated before or unless otherwise agreed by the parties. The duration of fixed-term contracts must be set upon specific end dates, the completion of a specific task, or the occurrence of a specific event. An employee who is employed for a fixed term must be given treatment equal to that given full-time employees employed to do similar types of work. While there is no statutory minimum wage in Germany, there is a mandatory social security system which consists of health insurance, home care, and nursing insurance, as well as pension insurance and unemployment insurance. While termination in Germany consists of at least a minimum statutory period for termination in Germany of 4 weeks, and is increased by 1 month each time the worker has completed his or her 5th, 8th, 10th, 12th, and 15th years of employment with the same employer. The maximum entitlement for termination notification to a German employee is to provide 7 months after the worker has completed 20 years of service. As a service and hospitality company, our people are the most critical key to our success in growing into new markets. Brunt is accustomed to being selective in our recruiting efforts. Therefore, it is very important to realize the impact that local recruiting considerations may have on our strategy and our ability to hire the best and brightest for our expansion effort. In addition, the unions and work councils that are prevalent within the local corporate culture must also be considered whether we are looking to build or acquire existing hotel locations within Germany. Again, employment law in Munich is about protecting the employees. Therefore, we thought it a best practice strategy to develop a standard employee contract template for heading into the German market in order to manage the various labor unions, works councils, employees, and government relationships. The following major areas of concern are to be recommended for inclusion in contracts: the parties to the contract term, the work to be performed, gross salary, benefits, vacation time, starting date of employment, labor union information, works councils information, place of performance, and notice of termination periods. The major cultural differences between the U.S. and Germany are summarized in this table, with the most significant ones being Americans have an open-door policy at the office, however Germans enjoy privacy. American employers place more importance on practical experience and knowledge, whereas German employers look for solid education and qualifications. Americans tend to move jobs and change company frequently. Germans are more loyal to the companies they work for. Americans are goal-oriented and look at the bigger picture, and Germans tend to focus on the details. Report-making techniques are used by Americans, where German business people prefer to keep things more formal. Americans often value change, whereas the German culture stresses the importance of systematic procedure. Time is money in America. Germans are considered the masters of planning. Informality is associated with friendliness in the US, whereas meetings and communication are generally formal in Germany and punctuality is taken seriously. We will now look at the labor management and how it impacts HR practices. The labor force in Germany is generally well educated and well trained. A strong work ethic that emphasizes excellence ensures an atmosphere of diligence and commitment among employees. Brunt Hotels believes in the case of the expansion into Germany, expatriates from the parent company and home country will be needed for a certain period of time. Expats will need to be familiar with the German culture, language, and business protocols in order to successfully integrate into the German environment. We would also recommend targeting apprenticeships to attract local talent. When developing incentive programs in Germany, compensation packages will include both the overall performance of the company and individual results. Employees may also receive a Christmas bonus, vacation bonus, or other special payments for performance. While financial compensation is important to most German employees, it is not the only motivating factor. Power and status are also important, and German employees are often motivated by opportunities for increased responsibility and promotion. Therefore, opportunities for training and development are also highly motivating, especially if they are tied to career advancement and will be part of the packages offered to German-based employees. Giving feedback is most effective when it is delivered in an unemotional yet sincere manner in a private location away from others. Germans tend to be print-oriented. Detailed, clearly written comments will generally be received well by Brunt chain. Germans appreciate constructive feedback that is based on clear reasons and criteria, and often, German employees will proactively ask for feedback. Evaluations usually involve a formal appraisal system plus standardized written documentation. Setting clear and measurable goals and expectations together with employees is a key aspect of the evaluation process. Due to the diverse cultural backgrounds, it is important to be careful when wording constructive feedback so that it will not be misperceived as discrimination. Training is seen as an important element in German corporations. Germans place a high value on educational background and intellectual ability. Credentials, degrees, certifications, and intellectual prowess influence both status and self-image. Coaching is becoming more common in German organizations. However, it is still not as popular as integrated training opportunities. Students and trainees are encouraged to question those who offer less than persuasive arguments or supporting data. Additionally, lectures and/or presentations are a major part of most training sessions in Germany. Most trainees will not be satisfied with brief explanations or less than comprehensive presentations. It is necessary to focus on a few topics in depth, which allows for group discussion and exploration. There are 4 key advantages for doing business in Germany for Brunt Hotels. First, German business markets demand high quality by having a highly educated, skilled, and motivated workforce who will give their best to ensure all objectives and deadlines are met. Germany has a population of people that takes great pride in its work. For example, German nationals will usually prioritize tasks over relationships, and Germans tend to be committed, focused, and professional. The German workforce works extremely hard, and we anticipate that this will be no different in making a commitment to Brunt Hotels. However, Brunt will need to undertake careful planning to reduce any risk or uncertainty of doing business in Germany. Secondly, Germany's public education and apprenticeship system places emphasis on skilled training and technical education, providing the foundation for its workforce. On-the-job training is one of Germany's greatest strengths. Under this system, the apprentice gains practical experience by working in a company and at the same time learns the theoretical concepts in a vocational school. Brunt Hotels will be able to see instant benefits as a result of the German's apprenticeship systems. Thirdly, German distinct labor management relations are a great advantage of doing business in Germany. German unions and employers generally regard each other as social partners. German law, which guarantees workers' rights, requires all companies with 5 or more employees to have a works council. These councils have veto power in many personnel decisions. All these councils do not have to include union members, but they often do. Rather than being in an adversarial relationship with management, council members participate in developing strategies to make the company more competitive in the global market. These unique labor management relationships have helped prevent strikes in the past, and labor laws in Germany are also more flexible than often perceived. And finally, the economic stability of Germany cannot be underestimated. Tourism is very healthy and strong in Germany. Germany ranks as the second most popular destination worldwide for Europeans as of 2010 and first in the European Union. Germany is also the most popular business travel destination for Europeans. Of all these things, Germany makes an excellent location for the Brent Hotel's expansion opportunity. However, even though Germany does provide several advantages to doing business for Brent hotels, it is also important to mention that the one clear disadvantage for doing business in Germany is the high labor and social cost associated with its labor unions, highly skilled and trained employees, and the use of the works councils. Germany labor and social costs are considered one of the highest in the world. For example, German workers have, on average, a 6-week paid vacation. In addition, they receive vacation bonuses of half their monthly pay. Although Germany government officials are now recognizing this as a problem with Germany's high labor and social costs, they are actively trying to do something about it. It is still something that Brent must strongly consider as a potential financial stumbling block in their effort to expand Brent hotels into Munich, Germany.